Hello, I'm Farhan, the botanical pharmacist, and welcome back to our forage and make video. So today I'm going to show you how to make foraged honeysuckle syrup. So I have picked this from the garden. I don't think I'm able to turn this round for you. Anyway, it's behind you. I've got a beautiful cascade of honeysuckle that's come over from our neighbour's overgrown garden, which I'm very grateful for. I've picked about, a cupful here of the flowers, and I'm going to turn that into a syrup which you can use as a honey substitute. So whatever you're going to be using honey for, you can use that. So you sprinkle it on pancakes, waffles, use it to sweeten a herbal tea. It's got lots of uses. You can also have it as a really lovely cough mixture, which I'll talk about later. So it's quite versatile, and also you can use it almost as a cordial, to flavour carbonated water. So briefly about foraging for honeysuckle. So there are about 3 varieties that are edible. One of them, the one I'm using, is the japonica variety. So Lonicera japonica, that actually grows almost, it's quite invasive, it's almost like a weed, but you'll find it in lots of parks, you'll find it sort of overflowing from other people's gardens. It's wonderful. It's used quite a lot in traditional Chinese medicine, that particular variety. But the traditional English version is Lonicera, let me find the pronunciation here because it's, I'm not very good with my Latin, periclymenum, and that's called the common honeysuckle. It's also called woodbine traditionally, so you'll find references to it in Midsummer Night's Dream and Shakespeare, and you'll see that spiralling clockwise actually if you put a stake or something like that. But again, it's similar in terms of taste, fragrance and its properties. One thing to be aware of: the flowers are edible, so you can use them in salads and things like that, and to make this syrup. These flowers turn into berries. Berries are poisonous, so don't touch these. Now, funnily enough, why is it called honeysuckle? Well, if you cut it like that, you get a taste of really sweet nectar. In fact, I caught one of my neighbours doing that the other day. I think she felt a bit guilty, but it just brought back memories of growing up and doing that. So I'll leave that aside. But what I love about it is the smell at night when I come out into the garden, and I think it's particularly more fragrant at night. It's almost like this heady, it's a midsummer scent, and it reminds me also of these old traditional flower waters, like rose water and so on, jasmine water, the elderly ladies used to wear. But it's a really lovely smell, really fragrant. So just to show you briefly how to make it, so you get a cupful of the flowers. I just rinse them quickly in water. You then add them into a pan, and then you add about half a litre, a pint of water, like that. And I've also grated some orange peel here, so I shall add that into there. That's optional really, but I will put that in there. And what you do is you leave that to simmer. Isn't it lovely? Oops, I think I spilled a bit, but I'll top it up. You leave that to simmer for, to simmer until you lose about half of it, so you condense it down. So I've put 500 mils, so until you get about 250 mils. So just make a note of it in the pan, and that just concentrates it. And then once that's done, you then add the sugar. So in fact, there's a step before that. Once that's done, you strain it through a piece of muslin cloth on a sieve, and then you've got that water, the extract. You pour it back into the pan. Measure it first just to find out how, what volume you've got there. I'm aiming for about 250. So you then match it with 250 grams of sugar, so whatever it is. So if you've got 300 mils of the liquid, 300 grams of sugar, but you can play around with that as well. I mean, the sugar acts as a preservative, so it will help make it last for a month. So that's the idea with that. And then as I said, you strain it, you add the sugar, you pour it into sterilised bottles or jars, and then you use it like honey. So that is your honeysuckle syrup. So I'll put that aside for now. But I mentioned briefly cough. The reason being, as I said, the japonica version is used a lot in traditional Chinese medicine. Particularly, it's a cooling herb. And they use you can use the flowers and the leaves. It's a cooling herb, and it's used for fevers and hot flushes and so on. Again, if you're going to be using it medicinally, you need to check with a herbalist first, a medical herbalist. When you're making things like syrup, the thing that you've got to be aware of is making sure you've picked the right thing. So that's more about plant identification. And I've mentioned before, there's an app called Plant Snap, but any good guidebook as well will help you choose the right one. But as I said, some of the other properties of the flowers and the leaves, it's got analgesic properties, so painkilling properties, because it has salicylic acid, and that's the same active ingredient as in aspirin. So it acts as a painkiller, also is an anti-inflammatory. It's also antiseptic, so it's got those additional benefits. You can make a decoction from the from the leaves, and what that is you simmer it in water, so it's a liquid at the end of it, and you simmer it for about 10 to 20 minutes, the leaves, until you get the extract, and then again you strain it, and you can use that for gargling, because it's antiseptic and anti-inflammatory and analgesic. If you've got swollen gums, if you've got a sore throat, so you can have it as a gargle or as a mouthwash. It's quite versatile like that. But as I said, the syrup you can also use as a really lovely soothing throat syrup. If you've got a sore throat, then it's swollen and so on. So that is honeysuckle syrup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall see you at the next one.